So in this video, we are going to go over attaching two pinch pots together. So just remember that everything we add to our clay, we must slip and score. So here, I'm going to go ahead and start scoring both of my pinch pots. So I am scoring the top of my pinch pots with a serrated rib. So now I'm going to go ahead and take my slip. So remember that we want to lightly dab it on. So I'm just going to take my time and lightly dab my slip into my scored marks. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing with your next one. To make sure we really get into the score marks, make sure that we have enough slip that they will stick together pretty well. Okay, so now that we have added the slip, I'm going to go ahead and choose the pinch pot that I want to be my top. I'm going to go ahead and place it directly on top of my other pinch pot. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and start pushing a little bit, not too much that it will ruin the bottom pinch pot, but enough that they would be nice and secure together. So here I'm just pushing down a little bit more, just making sure that these pinch pots are well attached. So I'm just cleaning out some of that slip that gushed out. Okay, so even though you can't see it, so I'm just kind of tilting my head, making sure that my pot is nice and center where I like it. Just going around, making sure that it looks good and that I like the position of it. So I'm going to go ahead and set it to the side. I'm going to close my slip. Don't need it just yet. So what I'm going to show is, this is my extra clay. I'm going to take a little chunk of clay and I'm going to start squishing it. So what we want to do is want to make a coil. So we're going to roll it around and we are going to attach the coil. So you might want to grab more clay than you think you might need. It's always better to have more clay and just chop it off if you need to than to have very little clay and then having to add to it. So I'm just sort of squishing my clay. Okay, so I'm going to start rolling. Again, I start at my fingertips and then I'm rolling down here and all the way down to my palm. So I'm doing this motion to help roll my coil. So here you're going to notice the top of my coil is pretty good, but this side is starting to get pretty flat. We don't want flat, so I'm just going to slightly squeeze it a little bit to get it back into shape. We don't want any hollow spaces. So if you're hearing this tap, 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 you need to redo that little area of that coil. It's getting too flat, so just squeeze it and continue rolling out your coil. Okay, so once you're done rolling your coil, I'm going to go ahead and just cut the ends. Then what you want to do, remember with everything in ceramics, we want to slip and score. So I'm going to go ahead and score all along my coil using my serrated rib. After you've scored your whole coil, you can go ahead and score the ends where the coils will connect. Okay, so after your coil has been scored, you're going to want to do the same thing to your pinch pots. So since we're attaching right in the middle, you're going to go ahead and add your score marks all around your pinch pot as well. So up and down. So when we attach these, we have a nice smooth transition and everything is nicely blended. Okay, so now that we have our score marks around our coil and our pinch pots, we're going to begin attaching them. So remember, we have to slip and score. So I'm just going to go ahead and start adding some slip to my coil. So just lightly dabbing it. Make sure that we get our ends. And then we're going to do the same thing with our pinch pot. We want to make sure that we add some slip to our pinch pot as well. Okay, so after you've added the slip to both your pinch pot and your coil, we're going to take our coil and we're going to wrap it around our two pinch pots. You may have some clay left over, and that's okay. We can just cut that excess off. And then we're going to want to rescore that and add more slip to attach them. Okay, so once we have attached our coil ends, we're going to smooth it out so they're nicely blended. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my time and I'm going to smooth my coil out. So right now I'm using my fingers, so I am squeezing it up and down. So we're going to make our coil disappear into our pinch pots, making it into one whole object instead of two separate pinch pots. So you can use some of the tools that are in your clay bins. So I'm using this tool to help me, again, just blend this coil out. So whether you use a tool or not, or you're just using your fingers, we want to make sure that we do that all around our pinch pots. Okay, so once you get to this point where you have attached your coil, go ahead and take the time to smooth out those lines, whether you use your smooth rib or your finger. Just make sure that they're nicely blended together. Then after you're done with that, you can go ahead and move on to the next video.